Alright, hi my math people. Today we're going to talk about area of triangles. So area of triangles. Now this is a little bit of a tougher shape because we start having our area formulas being cut in half. Why? Well, a triangle is half of a rectangle. If I were to connect and put another triangle here, it would be a triangle of the same size as the triangle that was already there, but now it's a whole rectangle. Well, we don't want to know the area of the whole rectangle. We only want to know the area of half, which is a triangle. So that's why our area formula for this shape is area equals 1/2 times the base and then times the height. Okay, that is our area formula here. On your area sheet, on your star chart, you may see it written like this. Area equals 1/2 BH. Okay, 1/2 base times height. So let's talk about real quick what is the what is the base and what is the height on a triangle. Of course, just like before, the base is what the triangle is sitting on. Okay, so this triangle is sitting on flat on the ground on this side of the triangle. So for this first guy here, this would be the base. Okay, now this is probably either an isosceles or an equilateral. I'm not exactly sure if all sides are equal or not, so I don't want to say it's an equilateral. But none of these slanty sides here, so like this side and this side, they are not the height. Okay, they're actually called the slant height, and we in 6th grade anyway, we don't really care about the slant height. What we care about is the actual height. Now, if you've watched any of my other videos, I have talked about how that the height is straight up and down. The height is the highest point to the lowest point, and it is a straight line connecting those two. It is also perpendicular. Okay, it's perpendicular to the base, which means that it makes a right angle. That was an awful right angle. I'm so sorry. Let me, oh, it erased my highlighting too, man. Alright, so there's your base, and then right angle, there we go. Alright, that means it's perpendicular as it forms that right angle. So this right here, this line that I just drew here, that is going to be your height. Remember, the height is a straight line from the toppest point to the bottom of the shape. So this right here is your height. Okay, something to watch out for. This is your height. Okay, now this triangle is, again, either isosceles or possibly even an equilateral. But let's check out this guy here because you can run into triangles that look like this. What makes this triangle look different is that it actually is a right triangle by its angles. Okay, it is a right angle there. And so instead of getting this pyramid shape type triangle, we get this triangle that looks like it kind of fell over. And it's a right triangle. When it comes to this, the base is again going to be the thing that the triangle is sitting on. Okay, it is going to be flat on the ground, sitting on this base here. So again, here's your base. But this time, the height is a little bit easier to see. Remember, the height is from the tippy top of the shape down to the bottom. And so on a right angle triangle, it's a little bit easier to find the height because it is actually one of the sides. All right, it is right here. This would be your height. Now let's actually start using this formula. Okay, now that we kind of have identified what the base and the height is, again, our area formula is 1/2 base times height. So let's go ahead and take a look at when they put a shape on a grid like this, because they'll give you a shape, it's on a grid, and you're like, that's cool. What are my numbers? What is my base? What is my height? Like, what numbers am I supposed to use to figure this out? So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. When they put it on a grid, it's actually quite easy. You count your spaces. All right, again, identify what your base is and what your height is. Down here will be my base. It's what the triangle is sitting on. All right, and then my height is going to be from here to here, a straight line from the top to the bottom. And so my height is going to be this line right here. Okay, so cool. We identified our base, we identified our height. Now let's start counting our numbers. Let's count the squares. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares that make up the base. So the base is going to be 5 units. They did not tell us what these squares represent. So when we don't know our units, we just write the word units. Okay, now let's count our height. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Our height is also 5 units. So now we have our numbers, we can plug these into our formula. So area, again, remember, equals 1/2 times the base times the height. So let's go ahead and plug in these numbers. So that's going to be 1/2 times the base, which was 5, times the height, which was 5. Now, multiplication, commutative property tells me I can multiply in any order, and I actually like to multiply these first. That way, I just have to cut it in half, because remember, multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. That is, I'm actually going to write that down. That is important. Whoops, maybe my pen will let me. All right, remember, multiplying by 1/2 equals dividing by 2. Okay, that is going to be a big help. So when I go to do that, I'm going to have 1/2 times 25. All right, so my last step is now to take 25 and either multiply it by 1/2. If I multiply it by 1/2, I get 25 over 2. Well, a number, this fraction bar here, remember if I have a fraction, remember this fraction bar means to divide. So it ends up being, oh, look at there, 25 divided by 2. So that's what I end up doing to solve this. All right, and so over here to the side, let's do our scratch work to figure out what is 25 divided by 2. Okay, 2 goes into 5 twice. 2 times 2 is 4. Subtract, I got 1 left over. Gonna go ahead and add a decimal there. Make sure you bring that decimal up to your answer line as well. And then 2 goes into 10 5 times. All right, and so my final answer for my area here is going to be 12 and 5/10. All right, if you kept it as a fraction, that would be 12 and 1/2. Okay, and our units, we don't know the centimeters, inches, we don't know what it is. So when we don't know what it is, we still put units squared. Remember, we're multiplying units times units, so that's units squared. So that would be actually our units for this guy. Okay, so that is how you would use these numbers to plug them into the area formula. Let's go ahead and check out the other type of problem I was seeing on your worksheets to do, and it's where they give you the area and they want you to figure out something else. Now, if you take a look at this triangle, it looks a little different than the ones that we talked about. Okay. First of all, we can identify our base. Our base is always very simple. It's always what the shape is sitting on. So this guy down here is our base. Notice that we do not have a number for our base. So we are missing our base. We don't know what it is. Okay? When we don't know what a number is, what do we use? A letter. That's right. Kind of just had a Dora the Explorer moment where they pause and let you answer. Okay, I don't know if you participated or not, but I'm going to pretend that you did. So we're just going to put a B here because we don't know this base. All right, and then if you check it out, you're like, what is with this phantom number hanging out over here with this ghost triangle? Okay, what they're showing you here is they're actually showing you how tall the tippy top is from the bottom. That is what that line right here is showing. Okay, that is what this line, let me mark it. That's what this line right here is showing. So this is actually a really kind of cool way that they actually tell you what your height is. They're saying, hey, your height is from here to here. It's 24 centimeters. That is your height. They just showed it outside of the triangle. So now that we have this information, we also know this. This is really important because this is your area. All right, if they write a number usually in the middle of the shape like that and it has A equals in front of it, that is usually your area. And so what we're going to do is, again, I like to write out my formula to remind me of what I'm doing, okay? And I know my area is 48, so I plug that number in. Okay, I don't know my base, so I'm going to leave it as a B, but I do know my height is 24. Now remember, commutative property tells me I can multiply in any order. So I could multiply 1/2 times B, but I'm just going to get 1/2 B. That's not really going to do me any good. But I could kind of pull this B out for a second and multiply these two guys together. Remember, multiplying by 1/2 is the same as dividing by 2. So 1/2 times 24 is going to be 12. the same thing as 24 divided by 2. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So I'm going to end up with 12. Now don't forget your little b, he gets to come back in, all right? And so I'm going to end up with 12 times b equals 48. Now, right before spring break, we were learning how to solve equations, how to get that b by itself. That b is stuck to that 12 with multiplication glue. How do I undo multiplication? Well, yeah, I divide. So I am going to be dividing this side by 12. I'm going to be dividing this side by 12 because remember we want to keep it balanced. If I do something to one side, I have to do it to the other. 12 divided by 12 is 1. That goes away, leaving b alone like I wanted. And then 48 divided by 12 is 4, okay? Now when it comes to the units, I'm trying to find the base. Well, we're talking about centimeters here, okay? It's not my area, so I'm not going to have that little exponent there. I'm going to have it match its height, so it's just going to be 4 centimeters. And that would be my final answer there. Okay, so hopefully this tutoring video helped you figure out how to work with triangles. They are one of our trickier shapes that we do. But hopefully this helps. All right, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.